Hi and welcome back to another flashlight review. Exciting day today. We're going to be looking at the Acebeam Defender P16. This is a flashlight, a tactical flashlight that I've been eyeing for some time, and I can't believe it's taken me this long to finally get hold of one of them. This is definitely the light that I wish I knew about earlier. So I want to go through in this video some of my thoughts using this light for a few weeks, and yeah, just show you what it's all about in case you're wondering whether to get one or in the market for a tactical flashlight. So as you guys know, I'm really obsessed with my tactical lights these days, and this one definitely ticks all the boxes. High quality, it's lightweight, small, so pocketable, high brightness, and candela as well for throw, and also proper tactical functionality. So definitely, small enough to fit in your pocket. But let's go through some of the details. I'm going to talk a bit about the overall construction, LED lens, and the bezel. So as you can see here, the light has got a pretty premium feel to it, and it's got a really matte black kind of finish. You can actually look at the knurling. I'll bring it up closer to the camera. Machining is flawless. It's kind of grippy, very grippy knurling just on the side of the battery tube, also on the tail cap, on the head of the flashlight as well. Military grade construction. It's got HA3 anodizing and also IP68 rating. So it's going to be there's going to be no issues with it taking it around to areas with lots of dirt and sand, and yeah, being actually submerging this thing underwater. It's also got 1.5 meters of impact resistance, chalky and sort of grippy anodizing. I like this sort of anodizing because sometimes you get anodizing that's too smooth. I see on the Nightcore lights, they use really smooth anodizing, and they have to make sure that their knurling is quite aggressive to make sure that it doesn't fall out your hands when you press the button or anything like that. It's very difficult to see under these TIR lenses, but there's an SFT40 here, as you can see, TIR lens. It's also got an AR anti-reflective glass protector on the outside, which is really reassuring. Some of these TIR lights don't have them, and when you get a scratch on the TIR lens, yeah, it's just not nice. It does deteriorate the beam quality over time, so it's good to know it has that. The bezel's crenulated, made of stainless steel. And what I like about the bezel is that it's been smoothed down, so there's no sharp edges where you're gonna nick a bit of your clothing or kind of hurt yourself or scratch yourself on it. But there's enough of these little ridges here for breaking a window if you need to. So you can partially disassemble this light. You can't get into the head of it, but you can take off the head and the tail cap of the flashlight. So just take it off now so you can have a quick look. The bezel is actually glued down, so you can't access it. But look at that, you've got all these contact points here on the outside. And I'm not going to pretend to know exactly why they've designed it in this way, but it looks like there's some really good contact points there. And I was comparing it to some of the older photos, some of the earlier versions of this light, and it looks like Acebeam have improved on the quality of the contacts. Got the battery here, sort of sits in this little tube. Okay, oops, you can sort of pull that out and have a look at it. There's even an O-ring there as well, so you can seal this back up again. And I'll show you what it looks like from the other end. Also, I thought I'd mention as well, this little clip sits underneath the head of the flashlight. So there's a friction ring. You can actually remove that entire clip if you don't like it, but it's good that it's under there because that means when you're pulling it, it's not going to go anywhere. You've got that friction ring as well as that, the actual head covering on and on top of it. So it's definitely not going to go anywhere. Let's have a look under the tail cap, and here we have it. That's the tail cap there. The spring. It's got a dual coil spring in there as well. Great for conductivity, and yeah, that let's take that battery out as well so you can have a look. You can see this is the double wall battery tube. Okay, that improves conductivity as well, apparently. And like I said, you can't remove the bezel, and Acebeam say in the manual that it will void your warranty if you open it up further, for those people who like, modifying their flashlights and things like that. And yeah, like I mentioned, talked a bit about the clip already. The flashlight itself doesn't have USB-C charging, but yeah, on the actual battery that's provided, Acebeam 3100 milliamp battery, look at that, you get a little USB-C charging port. So it's something that you're going to be able to bring around and not worry about having to carry an external charger. But the good news is that it does take other batteries as well. So non-proprietary 18650s work in here. Also takes CR123 / RCR123 batteries as well. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, I like having a tactical flashlight that can take multitude of batteries. I know some lights out there, some of the Nightcore range especially, they only take proprietary batteries. And yeah, that's a little bit of a pain, especially if you're out and you don't have access to that particular battery. You've only got one of them, you've got other batteries with you, it pretty much makes that light useless. So here is a little comparison with the P16 and a few of my other tactical flashlights. I've included the Convoy M2 in here as well, because I thought they look very similar in terms of the actual size. So you can see here, pretty similar in terms of, this one here, that's a Nightcore P23i. The bezel size, pretty similar, probably a little bit smaller than the P23i, and even a little bit smaller than this Convoy here on the right. Okay, but definitely very pocketable. It doesn't have a sort of smaller head like these other two tactical flashlights here. This is the Nightcore MH12SE, but it is going to be able to throw that further distance. But with a larger bezel like this, you're going to have that additional range. On the right here, I've got the largest tactical flashlight I own, the Nextorch TA30 Max. So this is probably on the largest side of tactical lights that I'm going to carry around in my pocket. In fact, I'd probably not carry this one around in my pocket. I'd carry around one of the others just because it's easier. This one's more designed for you putting it in a holster or something like that, especially if you're in law enforcement. So I'm going to show you some of the UI. Now there's actually two different modes you can select. There's a daily mode and there's a tactical mode. So how you access and change those modes, you basically hold down that back button for 3 seconds. It strobes 3 seconds, and then you click this tactical switch. Then it starts glowing, as you can see, sort of glowing in and out. Click the function button, this smaller switch here on the back, and it will either blink out SOS. You click it again to strobe, okay? But the SOS basically means daily mode, strobe means tactical. So select it, and then I'm back onto tactical mode by just selecting it using that button. So if you want to select the other one, you just flip in between it and then click the tactical button to select. So on tactical mode, the coolest thing is that you've got access to one-step strobe, okay, through this secondary button here, and then you've also got access to the turbo or whatever you want it to memorize. So for example, let's turn on the light. Okay, click that button, then you can use that second function button here to cycle through, okay, all the different modes. So say if I want to have it on turbo, switch it off, and then now momentary mode, half press that button, you get access to turbo as well as this strobe mode here. So when you're in the strobe mode, it basically, if you want to hold down that strobe mode, okay, if you hold it down for 3 seconds, it will actually keep the strobe. Click it again to click off. Or if you hold it down for less than 3 seconds, it will just activate the momentary. So it actually is able to tell whether you want to keep it on or not, which is good. Let me just demonstrate a little bit of the daily mode as well. So again, hold down that button. It's just a little bit annoying in terms of having to strobe yourself for 3 seconds. Click that. Okay, now it's sort of doing this glowy in and out thing. Click that button on the back. Now, this button here on the back. Now it's gone into the mode selection. Okay, so we'll go into the SOS mode, then click this button. Okay, now you have access to daily mode. So daily mode's pretty cool because you can access the low mode just by clicking this button here on the back. Okay, the secondary mode button. Okay, and then by clicking this other button, the main tactical switch all the way down, you can then select different modes using the function button. So say if I want it on turbo, turn off, now it's going to memorize that highest mode as well as the low mode. So you're going to be able to have low mode, high mode, okay? And what you can do as well is if you click and hold this secondary switch down, okay, for 3 seconds, watch, it actually keeps that mode. So again, it detects when you want to use that, actually have the flashlight on for longer. The light can be on also. You can hold that button here in the back, and then you can access the SOS mode, okay? And if you click that button again, it just allows you to cycle through. So click and hold, SOS, click again, you go through the modes, and of course, like, you can just click the light to switch it off. So yeah, quite a nice function. You know, you don't get access to the strobe mode unless you have the tactical mode switched on. I use it in tactical mode myself. I tend to use this flashlight in tactical mode mostly. It's not really a light that I use around the house, but you can use it around the house if you want to, if you're obviously activating that low mode here. And you know, you can even just change this to the lowest mode here, or even the second lowest mode if you want. You know, for me, I think it's better just to have 2 different modes on each one. So that's low and that's medium. There's no point having the same function for each button, in my opinion. So let's have a look at some measurements. I did a ceiling bounce test, and you can see that the light is able to hold 100% up until the 1 minute mark, in which it starts dropping quite rapidly in a few seconds to nearly 40% output. I'd say about 35% output, and I just kept running that flashlight 35% just past the 5 minute point where I ended the test. So here are some measurements taken with my Oppo Lightmaster Pro, and you can see I've got 521 meters of throw, CCT 6301K, and color rendering index 69.3. This light is rated at 1800 lumens, and the TIR lens produces a really nice intense hotspot, but it also blends it nicely with the surrounding spill. Something I really like about TIR flashlights. Some considerations if you're thinking of getting this flashlight: there's no onboard charging. So if you're using other non-proprietary cells, you're going to need an external charger. What I tend to do is that I'll just carry around another flashlight that has onboard charging, and I'll use that as a charger instead if you don't want to buy an additional charger. The clip here also rubs a bit against the tail cap. It's a slight annoyance just over here. So when you're unscrewing it, you can feel it kind of rub, but it doesn't cause any damage. It's a very slight, very slight sort of friction there, but you can probably just pull that out a bit so that it makes less contact with the tail cap. Just a small thing. It's also high candela, and that's a feature of this light. It's an intended feature. But for some of you guys, you know, if you're using it for walking, anything like that, where you need a light for more close range and floody sort of beam, this isn't the type of flashlight you'd want. You can use it on the lower modes, maybe as a walking light. I'd say, you know, the medium mode or high mode, but yeah, when you're looking at things up really close, it's just too intense. Another thing is that it doesn't tail stand. Okay, so might be something that you guys need on a flashlight. Overall, the P16 has earned a place in my top 5 tactical EDC flashlights. Truly pocketable. Acebeam just gets so many things right in this light, and though it costs more than a lot of other lights with similar specs, the P16 excels in terms of overall quality, attention to detail, and performance. Do wish I knew about this light a bit earlier, and now that I own it, it's something that I carry around with me very often. It's a great tactical flashlight that you can very easily carry around in your pocket without feeling it, especially in a jeans pocket as well. So if you're interested in this light, I've left a link in the description. May not have covered everything you wanted in this video, so let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll get back to you. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, you found it helpful, do me a favor, click the like button. That helps me get my videos out to more people. And if you want to see me make more light reviews, make sure you subscribe. Alright guys, we're going to have a look at the Acebeam P16, and I've got it set on the highest mode already, so we can turn that straight on. Incredible, look at that throw. All the way off in the distance there. I mean, even with all this rain, as you can see, it has no trouble hitting any of those trees right at the back. You can see the tree trunks especially pop out. There we are. Larger tree there. Trees. And I mean, up close, easy. Look at that. It's just what I find great about these TIR lenses as well, and it was something that I know after just using them for a while, I actually prefer them. I mean, all things being equal, I just think they produce a beam that just looks more aesthetically pleasing. You don't get any of that ringiness. Everything just blends together nicely. Just hold it in one spot so that you can have a look at it properly, like that. I do believe it's starting to ramp down a little bit. If I turn it off, you've also got this strobe feature, bit of a strobe feature. When you turn the flashlight on as well, you can just cycle through the different brightness modes, as you can see. Whoops. Yep. Press it too quick in succession, you'll end up getting it on the strobe mode, I think. I put it on strobe mode before, but I mean, look at that. In the lowest mode, I mean, you can still see here, look, still getting a lot of this stuff up the front, but there's barely any spill. That's the problem with these TIR lights. But as soon as you increase it a little bit, you know, I mean, fantastic. That's the brightest mode there. It's just hitting those trees so easily out the back. Go for a bit of a walk. The cool thing is when you reactivate it again, you turn the light on and off, you get another shot at the turbo. And I mean, just feeling the flashlight, it doesn't feel hot at all down the battery tube with all this use. And the head is pretty hot, but everything else, I mean, it's quite comfortable for me to just hold it down the battery tube. My finger on the tactical switch, there you go. You can turn it off and on again, and there we go. You got access to that turbo again. You can just use tactical momentary mode like that. Well, one of my favorite tactical lights, that's for sure.